Am I the asshole? Questions from Reddit. Story 1. Am I the a-hole for telling my child's stepmother to grow up and stop asking a teenager for support? I, 39F, have 2 children, Kimmy, 14F, and 9M, and share custody with their father, Dave. Kimmy is starting high school soon and her school sent a list of their extracurriculars. I want my children to be academically inclined and join clubs to meet people. I told Kimmy to pick some clubs, and as of right now she picked out 10, which we are definitely going to shorten down. Kimmy sent a list of clubs to her father so he could help her. He didn't respond and instead, I got a call from Dave's wife, Amy, a little later. Amy asked me if Kimmy was really going to join all of those clubs, and I said not all but probably some of them. Amy followed by asking if Kimmy could only join one of the clubs on her list, which confused me. I asked why. Amy explained that she has to go to work soon, and she really needs someone to take care of her kids. She was hoping that Kimmy would be able to go to their house straight after school and take care of them. Amy has 3 kids under 13, and recently had a baby with Dave. Kimmy has ADHD, which makes it hard for her to care for her own needs. I already feel extremely uncomfortable leaving her with 4 kids that young unattended. Amy didn't even mention transportation and how Kimmy would get there. I told her no. This upset Amy. She told me that Kimmy is a part of her family too, and as a family they all need to chip in, and according to her, Kimmy should chip in by babysitting. She ranted on, giving me a sob story as to how she was struggling already with Dave working, how hard it was to be mom to 4 kids who depend on her so much, and how expensive childcare was nowadays. I told her no, and why I was uncomfortable, to which she just reiterated her story. This happened twice. By this time, I said number 3 times and she was still asking. I thought it was clear that no meant no, not no, and ask again later. I interrupted her and told her no is my final answer, and she's honestly pathetic to ask a 14-year-old for support, and it sounds she needs to grow up instead of relying on children to pick up her slack. As you would expect, Amy and Dave are upset at me, which I don't really mind. My only issue is that when I told my sister, she thought I was being cruel, which is making me rethink things. Ida. Edit, a common question I'm being asked is what custody looks like. My kids go to their fathers 1 week every month and stay with me for the rest. Story 2. Am I the jerk for getting angry when girlfriend wore one of my watches and criticized my spending habits? I am 22M, she's 23F. I've been collecting high-end watches for several years. It's a hobby that I'm passionate about, having invested lots of money into my collection. 2 days ago, we were at my apartment and I was in the bathroom. I came back to find her wearing one of my most expensive watches. She was on the couch, and when she saw me all she asked was how it looks on her. I immediately got upset and angry and told her that she should have asked me before wearing it. She was somehow surprised and asked why it was such a big deal. To be fair, she knows close to nothing about watches and especially this brand, peepz. So I tried explaining to her how valuable and delicate it is and that I like it to be handled carefully. Then she got even more upset, questioning why I would spend that much money on a watch instead of investing it or saving it. She didn't know about my financial background to be able to afford this, as we have only been dating for a month. She felt lied to, asking why I didn't tell her this until now. Since then, there has been tension between us, in real life and texting. I'm not sure what to think. Am I the jerk? Story 3. Am I stupid for telling my husband no to getting lunch in the middle of the workday with my husband's brother and in-laws before he leaves for his final year of college? In the last few hours, I, F28, found out that my husband, M30, made tentative lunch plans with his family and brother without asking me about my schedule for next Thursday. Edited for clarity. I told my husband to go without me if that's the day everyone is set on. I'm not mad about him going, just more of his expectation that I would drop everything to join the lunch during work. And he's annoyed that I've said no, but my work takes priority, and if this was planned for after work, then it would be more than doable. We are leaving for a wedding this weekend and returning home on Sunday. The plan, I thought, was to stop by my in-laws' house on the drive back and say goodbye to my husband's brother before he leaves for his senior year of college a few days later on Thursday afternoon. We both work mostly remote jobs, and I have general working hours from 9-5-ish or 10-6-ish. The only time I am able to comfortably leave my desk is to go to my workout class for 1 to 1.5 hours right before the start of my day. My father-in-law texted my husband and said my brother-in-law was depressed that he couldn't see my husband before leaving, even though we were going to stop by to say goodbye on Sunday. My father-in-law told him that he realizes my husband is busy, but to try to accommodate. This upset me for a couple of reasons. I got the impression that my father-in-law doesn't care about my job schedule, and he doesn't feel like it's hard to accommodate such a request when in reality, meetings are generally scheduled more than a week out. And even if it's not a meeting-heavy day or week, there is still work to do, especially in my field of public health where it's very research and writing focused. It seems like he only prioritized my husband's schedule and I would just tag along/agree with everything. We see my husband's family at least 1 to 2 times a month, and they live 30 minutes from us. Anything more than that I feel like I would get anxious, as I'm naturally more of an introvert and need time at home to reset my social battery, whether it's family or friends. So for them to act like it's not good enough for us to swing by the day after a wedding to come say goodbye on Sunday instead of Thursday rubs me the wrong way. I'm pretty upset about the lack of communication from my husband's side. He went ahead and tentatively said let's meet for lunch next Thursday right before his brother drives off to college, then caught me up with the plans. Any other time after work would be been fine. And now he's annoyed at me because I can't step out for lunch with his family during the workday on specifically a Thursday, which round trip would be at least 3 to 4 hours. It hurts me a lot because I always make sure to communicate with him before proposing or committing to plans with anyone. Am I the jerk? Story 4. Would I be the jerk for refusing to watch my sister's toddler while she gives birth? I, 32F, don't have children of my own. My sister, 39F, let's call her Sarah, is about to have her 3rd child. Little bit of background before we get into it, all of Sarah's children have different fathers. Baby 1, the father was baby trapped and is no longer in the picture. That child is now 15. Baby 2, Sarah made a deal with a random man on the internet to get her pregnant and sign away his parental rights. That child is now 2. Baby 3 is the product of a one-night stand with a married man. Sarah has always wanted a family but never settled down as she prefers to play the field, so to speak. Our parent has given Sarah over $100K in the last decade as she chronically lives outside of her means financially even though she has steady employment and makes a very good wage. When baby 2 was born I took Sarah to the hospital a few cities over and took care of her firstborn child all while working full-time. Sarah was in the hospital for about a week. When I lost my job 2 months ago Sarah announced to the family, my parent and other siblings, that since I no longer have a job I would be watching her 2-year-old while she gives birth. Sarah didn't ask me to watch her child nor did I offer. Sarah then texted me a few days ago asking if I was prepared to watch her youngest still as she is due this month. Of course I said yes, she's family. But then Sarah implied that I was incapable of babysitting her toddler at my own house as I don't have any food and I wouldn't be able to bath the child. I was taken aback by this. I don't currently have snack food for a 2-year-old in my house, but my city does have grocery stores. And my house that I worked very hard to purchase on my own without a payout from my parent, is equipped with a fully functional bathroom. I am extremely upset by the entitlement of Sarah. So much so that I suggested she have another family member babysit for her. She ignored this suggestion. I feel as though her love for her family is dependent on what she is receiving from them and I'm afraid if I refuse to cater to her needs that she will start another family feud. Story 5. Am I the jerk for telling my parents they don't get to ask questions and blow up when they dislike the answers? My parents are messy people. They were together for years, had my brother, 28M, and broke up when he was 8 but stayed married, just not living together, and neither filed for divorce. They ended up getting back together after a few years and had me, 17F. But they were over for good by the time I was 1 and had finally filed for divorce. Both got into other relationships and cheated on those other relationships with each other before finally settling into the marriages they're currently in. I was 8 when my mom got married and 10 when my dad got married. Those relationships had started 2/3 years before the marriages. My mom's husband had 2 kids when he met my mom, both younger than me. Together they had 2 more kids who are now 7 and 4 years old. My dad's wife had 3 kids technically when they got married. One is her stepkid who sees her as her mom, the other 2 are her bio kids from the marriage with the stepkid's father. Together they have a 5-year-old and they have taken in his wife's 2 nephews from her sibling who died and they adopted them. There has been this tug of war between sides for as long as I can remember them being together. My brother noped out of it, and could, by the time it started. But I was stuck with it. My mom and dad wanted me to prefer their side, shoved their kids and stepkids down my throat so I'd have a stronger relationship with either side. They compete for me to show the most attention to their family. They make it into something crazy and way too complicated. Like I'm supposed to see dad's side as true siblings, even the non-bio ones, and love them more than anything else according to my dad. And according to my mom it's her side I feel that way about. They have always asked which siblings I prefer, or they ask leading questions about which side I prefer where it's not directly asking me that, but you know that's what it's about. 2 days ago we had this meeting with people from my school. It's my senior year and I have an IEP for school, for speech and reading. During the meeting they brought personal stuff into it and it spilled out more once we left. They directly asked me which siblings I prefer and who I'm the closest to. How do I really feel, blah. I told them my brother is the only sibling I really love. That he's my favorite family member and really the only sibling I have a connection to. That I see him more than they realize. They were shocked. Not only about my answer but the fact my brother and I stayed close and see each other when he doesn't ever see any of the other kids. Then my parents got pissed. They started yelling and that's when I told them they can't ask questions and then blow up at me when they don't like my answers. My parents said they can do what they like as my parents and they made it another big deal yesterday. Where I had my mom on the phone and since I was at dad's he was harassing me about it yesterday. Am I the jerk? Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe for more stories.